Two former Democratic senators are leading a new program to help 2020 candidates connect to rural voters. Indiana's Joe Donnelly and North Dakota's Heidi Heitkamp are calling it the One Country Project. They say because of the Electoral College, Democrats cannot retake the White House without winning back voters from rural areas. Democrats have won the popular vote but lost the Electoral College twice in the last 20 years. And Joe Donnelly joins me now from Washington. He was a Democratic senator from Indiana between 2013 and 2019 and a co-founder of the One Country Project. Senator, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me with you today.
So One Country's website focuses on 8 states, 6 in America's heartland, as well as Arizona and New Hampshire. Why are those states crucial?
Well, they're all critical because that's where the presidency is going to be decided. I would also talk about places like Florida and North Carolina, but those are the locations where the elections were very, very close. If you look at Michigan was 11,000 votes. Pennsylvania was extraordinarily close. Wisconsin was extraordinarily close. And so if we capture more votes in the rural areas than we've done before, then the Democratic candidate will be successful. And when you put together stronger turnout in our city areas with a more robust rural vote for Democrats, that's a really winning combination.
Well, Democrats had success in the midterms in many of the states you mentioned by focusing on suburban districts that could have gone Republican and that may have gone Republican, rather, in 2016. Can Democrats use that approach in 2020?
Well, you need to make the tent as big as you can. And in rural areas, what we need to do is begin the conversation again. It's been said that folks don't care how much you know unless they know how much you care. And some Democrats haven't shown how much they care about rural areas in recent years. You know, we have to talk to folks about faith and family and community and country. I would visit all 92 counties in my state every single year because I wanted everybody to know how important their ideas were. To talk about, like my colleague Sherrod Brown has done, the dignity of work. Tim Ryan, who's talked about in Lordstown, Ohio, figuring out how to make that the electric vehicle center of the United States and to give real optimistic programs to move the economy forward, to create good job opportunities. If we're not talking about meat and potatoes things like job opportunities, like the fact that this administration fought to take your health care away from you. Those are the issues that can move people in rural areas, along with helping our farmers out of this incredibly difficult situation they're in.
Well, speaking of jobs and the economy, I want to read from a new study by the Brookings Institution, which says, quote, during the first 21 months of the Trump administration, as people and jobs once again begin to spread out and sprawl, job growth rates in the 2,622 Trump voting counties have gone from lagging behind those in Clinton counties to outpacing them. Redder, smaller, more exurban and rural counties really are winning a little more, at least for now. So with that in mind, Senator, how do Democrats run against a strong economy in those Trump voting counties especially?
Well, you know, tell that to a farmer who's on the verge of losing his farm that's been in their family for 5, 6 generations and is looking at the lowest soybean prices right now in 7 months, who is looking at it costs more to buy the seed and the fertilizer than they'll get at the end of the year when they harvest the crop. And so there's real anxiety and real concern in places like Iowa, on the western side of the state, from Council Bluffs on down to Missouri. You've had horrendous flooding. And then on the eastern side now in the Davenport area. And so we have to be on the streets of every community, talking to them about a great path forward and making sure they can still keep their health care.
Well, you and Senator Heitkamp lost your seats last fall, and I wonder what lessons from that you think Democrats should learn ahead of 2020.
Well, President Trump won my state by almost 20 points. I outpaced the average Democrat by 14 points. I lost by 5 points. And so if we outdo the president by 14 points in Pennsylvania, in Wisconsin, in Ohio, in Arizona, and North Carolina, like I did in Indiana, we'll sweep all of those states. And the lesson is you have to be in all of our communities, talking to them about their family's future, about their faith, about their jobs, about skills training, about making sure that their mom that has cancer can get coverage for her pre-existing conditions, which this administration tried to eliminate. Those are critical issues, and when we talk to folks, we have much better success than in just staying on the corners of the country.
I wonder, Senator, do you think that 2020 candidates so far have focused enough on issues that are important to rural voters?
Well, I know they're working hard at it. I talk to my former colleagues all the time, and have talked to colleagues who have been in the flood zones, who have been at meetings in Storm Lake, Iowa, with farmers, who have worked really hard. I mentioned Tim Ryan with his efforts in Lordstown, Ohio, with the former Cruise plant, to try and make that a center of electric car excellence. And those are the kind of things that create hope, that create belief, that create the opportunity for success.
Well, Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders unveiled a plan which focuses on helping rural America. Here's what he said at a rally in Iowa on Sunday.
Some people are writing off rural America. They're saying everybody's going to the cities. Well, people want to go to the cities, that's fine. We're a free country. But I come from one of the most rural and most beautiful states in the United States. I will not write off rural America.
So the plan involves strengthening antitrust enforcement and reducing the influence of factory farms to help farmers. Is that what you want from a candidate?
Well, I'm glad that Senator Sanders is focusing on rural America. It's absolutely critical. I think one of the things we have to do is end this trade war that we have going on, that we come to a conclusion that can help our farmers be able to increase their prices. That's what's critical, is our prices have dropped from about $10.70 a bushel for soybeans down to cash price this morning in Indiana in certain places was about $7.60. So you've lopped off over 30% of the price of your crop simply because of this fight that's been picked. And so we need to bring this to a conclusion that's good for our country, that's good for our farmers as well. And it can be done. It just has to be worked out and constantly worked on together. And farmers have to know we have their interests at heart. And so there's great opportunity out there. And they have to know that culturally we respect rural communities, we respect urban communities, because we're a big tent. And we want to make sure that everybody knows that. When they do, as I said, our candidates do very well.
Do you think there's been a misunderstanding of where Democrats have fallen, culturally speaking, with respect to values that are important to the rural communities in particular?
Well, I think much of it has been on our own party, not being as willing to talk about faith as we should, that it's such a deep ingrained part of our country. And that is the core of so many people's lives, that we talk about community. There's nothing more important to neighbors, for instance, in those flood areas, than to help other neighbors who are struggling. We have to be like that. Those values that we've seen for so long in our country, we have to talk about them. We have to live them. We have to be in those communities with our friends and neighbors. And when we do, they'll understand that we stand with them more than anybody else.
Former Indiana Senator Joe Donnelly. Senator, thanks very much for your time.
Oh, it's my privilege. Thank you very much.